Hi everybody, my name is Jansadate and I'm one of the developers at Micro One. Throughout this course, I'm going to be teaching you a lot of cool tricks for using Cursor, and I'm going to kind of demonstrate how, honestly, just anybody could use Cursor and generative AI to do some data analysis. So over here, I have two CSV files and there's a slight problem. So here it shows you the course name, student name, timestamp, rating, and comment. I don't want to show all the student names that left the review on camera, so I manually copied the first 5 reviews and sort of just censored it. I just put person 1, 2, 3, 4. We see that here's the comment, which is kind of the review. I was expecting to only export reviews that had like a comment, so you can see like on line 4 this is a comment, but here we don't. Okay, but first let's focus on just censoring all the student names. So as you can see, I have like reviews uncensored, and I want to censor the entire thing. I don't want to do it manually, so let's go ahead and think. What I'm going to choose for today is TypeScript. Now I know some people are used to using like Python, or academics are used to using R. I'm going to choose TypeScript just because it has type definitions, which I believe makes it much easier to work with large language models for coding. Just because sometimes if they make a mistake, you can immediately spot it based on the types, as opposed to dynamically typed languages like Python or R. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to use a kind of like a JavaScript runtime called Bun. But once again, you can really use anything, and if you have any questions, you can just ask Cursor in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and start my project. First, I'm going to create a Git repo just so I can save my progress. And now I'm going to go ahead and create a project with Bun. And this will allow me to run TypeScript directly. Okay. So before I do that, we just want to choose our model. So if you go over to Cursor, Settings, and then like Cursor Settings, you'll open this tab here. And you have your general, you have your model setting, features, and beta. Okay. If you go over to models, then these are the models that I like to use. I like to use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. That's basically the best Claude model that there is at the moment that's released. In the future, you may see like Claude 3.5 Opus. Definitely go for that if it's available. I leave Cursor Small available as well. I think they use it for some of the, I guess, smaller features. I turned off GPT-4, GPT 3.5 Turbo, GPT-4 Turbo, just because there's better models out there. So and I have GPT-4o and GPT-4o Mini enabled. I also have O1 Mini, which was released, I think, last week in O1 Preview. You can go ahead and use your own API keys, but the easiest way to get started is just to create an account with Cursor directly and just do all your building through them. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my index.ts. This is basically the main file, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. So how we run it here is we just follow this instruction. To get started, run index.ts, and this will depend on the programming language that you're choosing to use, but we can see here that we are running this file. So over here, you can see the chat feature. If you don't have it open, you might have to toggle the AI pane, and here's chat. So here I can choose the model that we're going to be using. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of ask it like, write code to read the reviews first 5 censor.csv file. I'm going to press enter. And so this chat pane is, if you've used ChatGPT, it's something very similar, where you have different steps in the conversation. And I'll kind of show you more advanced usage in a minute, but let's first see what this says. So due to this saying hello via Bun, this inferred that we were using Bun. And that's because if you look over here at index.ts, with the chat feature in Cursor, you can attach different files. So by default, it attaches the files that we have open, which was index.ts. And so here it added some code. So it looks like we're going to be importing something to read files, and it's saying read the CSV file and the file content, and it logs it, and it does some error handling. That looks fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. I can either just select like normal, or I can just click copy. Now, Cursor also does have an apply feature. The apply feature with chat is not that great. It's actually kind of hard for AI models to insert code. Now, when I have a simple file like this, it shouldn't mess up. So let's give it a try. Perfect. And I just click accept. Okay. Now let's see. So we have a TypeScript error here. No worries. Error is of type unknown because it's assuming that message is there. I think I can just add this, but then message is non-existent type object. Okay, sure. So what I'm going to do is just do error. Could be anything. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and run our file and look at this. File content. Yep. Okay, that's exactly what we thought. All right. So this is good. If you're writing AI generated code, or if you're working with AI generated code, sometimes it'll mess up the indenting. So I recommend setting up some type of linting feature, or something to actually make those changes. What I mean by this is, let's say that I copy this code and I didn't do any indenting, right? It's very ugly. Or let's say let's say I have like this curly brace on another line or something, right? Then it's not very legible, and it really is a pain to try to manually indent things. So what we can do is I can go ahead and use a plugin called Prettier. So I'm just going to ask the chat, how can I set up Prettier in my package or in my code base? And it's going to generate some instructions. So these are fairly good instructions. And, once again, I wouldn't just click apply. You never really, because know where it's going to go, because it's going to try to apply this to the TypeScript file. And by the way, TypeScript, I didn't explain that earlier. It's kind of like JavaScript, but with types. That's the most basic definition, and I'll stick to that. So there's a lot of stuff here. So let's go ahead and see. So for the first step, I'll just copy this, go and add Prettier. That seems reasonable. And I'll run it, and it got installed. Now it tells me to create a file. Okay. So sure, I can do that. So going to go ahead and do .prettier rc, paste everything here, and now let me fix the indenting. Let's see, and I can do like a .prettier ignore. Now, to be honest, these instructions are kind of too much. Just telling you, I know how to use Prettier, and while this will work, it's a bit too many files to set up. I love how it included setting up a pre-commit hook. I'm just going to tell it, this seems like a lot of work. Sorry. This seems like a lot of work. What's a easy way to add Prettier without making so many files? I just want to pretty up my JSON and TS files. And so I'm going to go ahead and delete Prettier RC. There we go. So this is nice. So now we go to our package JSON, and you can just click it and open it. Now I'm going to need a script section. So I'm going to ask it to apply, and you'll see that it added a comma. If you have very easy code changes, the apply tool works fairly well. If you have complicated changes, I would not rely on the apply tool. I'll go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to go open the index file, and I'm going to run format. And it's going to run Prettier, and as you can see, it auto-indented stuff. So that's great. And apparently we can add Prettier settings directly to our package JSON. I actually did not know that. That's pretty cool. Let's try applying it and see what happens. Okay, it didn't mess up there. I want to change the tab width to 4, the print width to 120, and single quote, sure. I don't, that's not too much semi, no, sure, I'll keep it. Okay, and now let's run it again. So as you can see, it also modified our package JSON, just because this command is basically telling it to apply it everywhere. And let's say you don't know that. Let's just we can kind of ask, you can kind of ask it, what does all the asterisks mean? So if you're a beginner and you don't know something, you can just ask and you can get a pretty decent explanation. There might be a small part that's wrong or isn't the best explanation, but it is leaps better than how people kind of learned 10 years ago when you were trying to follow a YouTube tutorial step by step. So as you can see, this is like a glob star pattern. It will search basically a bunch of nested directories, and then it tells you for the file name. It does a really good job of just explaining everything. So that's great. Now, I want to make sure it doesn't modify the node modules. So I'm going to ask, will it modify my Node modules folder? I'm worried it might. Oh, okay. By default, Prettier ignores the node modules folder. Awesome. Okay, I'm just gonna believe it, you know. It's not too important, so I'm just gonna believe it. All right, back to our index.ts. So as you can see, I can go ahead and run it. And we basically have, well, yeah, we have a CSV file. So we should probably use a library or something that makes it easier to get data from our CSV. Alternatively, we could go ahead and convert every row here into some type of object. So let's go ahead and just ask it to do that. So I'm going to go over to, let's see, so we have the console.log, and occasionally what you should do is just start a new chat. You're not going to have the previous history, and that can be a good thing, because if a model has too much context, it can kind of derail the conversation. So every time you start something new, a new task or something, start a new chat. So let's go ahead and see, what do I really want? Extract the header information and print it out from the CSV printf. Okay, this seems reasonable. So I'm just gonna apply it, and hopefully it does a good job. No red squiggly lines, so I think it's okay. I will go ahead and run it. And now we have our course header information. So course name, student name, timestamp, rating, and comment. Ah, look at this. So I think this is a quirk relating to some new line systems in like Windows. So how new lines are represented is like \n on Unix systems. But on Windows, they use the carriage return. And so it looks like this CSV file was made to be, I guess, compatible with those types of Windows systems, which is why we see that /r. But what we can do is just ask it. I can click on this terminal command. You know, we ran this, right? And this is all the output. I can just click here and click add to chat. And I can just ask it, why is there \r in there? I didn't see it when opening the CSV file myself. So I recommend something this would work, but let's go ahead and kind of probe it, right? Sometimes the first solution that a language model provides it works, but it's a bit suboptimal. Like if we actually did do this suggestion, then we would be basically removing that \r from the column names, but that \r will still be there in all the other rows. So let's go ahead and ask it that. Okay, so it's splitting still by new line. This could work, but let me just ask it another thing. And so this solution would work, but if you're knowledgeable, then you can kind of steer it. I like to think of Cursor like an undergrad student, so you can kind of steer them. So it's like you can ask, why are we splitting by /n? Shouldn't we split by /r/n? Okay, that's nice. So they're keeping filter boolean to remove any empty lines that might result from the splitting process. Okay. Yeah, I see what it's doing. Okay. Let's go ahead and try to apply it and see how well it does at applying it. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and run. Well, first I'm just going to format it. Okay. Unchanged. That's fine. Did I save it? Oh, no. I'm going to okay. What happened there was I didn't save my changes, and then I ran the formatting tool, which wrote to that file. So then when I ran the code, it was using the code that was output by the formatting tool, which was the code before I saved the file. So what I did was just overwrite, and we should be good now. So let's run it. And as you can see, the /r is missing now. So that's nice. And you can go ahead and kind of build on this. So I'm going to add this to chat, and I'm going to say, based on the column names, create a class, like object-oriented, to hold these fields. And then when we read each row, let's turn that row of text into an instance of that class. Okay, so let's just go ahead and run it and see how it works. I'm gonna click apply, and I'll see how it does at applying. I think that was decent. And I'm just gonna save and run it. Okay, so the first review is a course review. It looks like the formatting is a bit off, especially because the student name, I mean, that's definitely not, yeah, this is definitely not right. And if I open the file, first 5 censored, let's see. So yeah, that's definitely not right. And I can just tell it, this doesn't look right. Add to chat, this doesn't look right. Oh, okay. So it was splitting by commas, but the fun quirk about CSV or comma separated values is that when you have a comma inside your actual text, you can surround it by quotation marks to let the parser know that the comma is part of the text. And in this case, what this gave us was like a naive implementation where it was just splitting the line by commas, and that's why that happened. So now it's going to try to only split if it's not in between the quotation marks. And at this point, we might want to expand into some sort of like CSV parsing library. It's totally up to you, but we're going to stick with this for now. So go ahead and see. So they added a parse CSV line, and they used this parse CSV line when processing each row. Okay, let's apply and see what happens. Let's find out. I'm just going to remove this. Okay, course name and person 1, timestamp, rating, comment. Awesome. Number of reviews 5. Okay, this is perfect. The only thing is now I'm going to go ahead and kind of delete the student name. Or let's see. I'm going to set the student name equal to the line or the review that is in. So as you can see here, this is the first review. So the student name is person 1. So I'm going to actually do some coding here, and I'm going to finish this with the chat feature. And then we'll wrap up with the chat feature. So I'm going to go ahead and do const new student name equals person, and then review number. And I'm just going to say the review number is equal to 0 just as a placeholder. And instead of return new course review student name, I'm going to say new student name here. So what should happen, what's going on here? Oh, okay, this is not in the dictionary, this is just a function call. Okay. What should happen is, as you can see, we're not using student name anymore. And if I run this, it'll just say person 0. And I'm going to change this to 1. And I'm actually going to just print out all the reviews. Let's see how that goes. So this is what I was just running. And it essentially prints out these course review classes or objects. And here you can see student name. And it's person 1 for all of these because we're changing the name. And here we have new student name. Here we have review number. This is a programming class. I'm just going to go ahead and select this. And I mean, really, the 3 lines that are most relevant. And you can either just press edit or you can just press Command K. I'm going to go ahead and say edit this so the review number is equal to the line number. And it's going to go ahead and give some relevant context to the model. And basically, it changed the function that we're passing into the map function. That's okay, sure. Where instead of just getting the line, we're also getting the index. So that's going to be the index of the line that we're on. So then it's doing like index plus 1. So if we go ahead and run this, you can see this person 5, person 4, person 3, person 2, person 1. Perfect. So I'm really trying to avoid writing code myself in this course, just to kind of show you that like you don't need to know the language that you're working in. You can explore different APIs that you haven't really dealt with before. Last week I was writing a lot of code that used like the web audio APIs, and had to do some like video transcoding with a lot of FMmpeg stuff, and I didn't know any of that, and I didn't spend my time reading documentation. What I did was I just asked Cursor to implement what I had in my head, and it implemented it, and I ran it, and whenever there were errors, I would pass that on to the model, and I shipped that code. So Cursor's awesome, even for experienced developers. Now let's go ahead and see. It looks, I mean, this looks reasonable, so let's expand this. So instead of just reading the first 5 reviews on Uncensored, we're going to read all the reviews. So I'm just going to manually type this in, uncensored, and that's a typo. All right, just giving a quick scan. I think this should be good. Let's go ahead and run it. Let's find out. All right, 698 more items, and you know, there's a lot of persons there. So this is awesome. Okay, so now what I'm going to tell Cursor is, you know, all I really care about is the comments. So before we move on, I'm actually just gonna commit this so that I can keep track of other changes. All right. And let's go ahead and see. Now, if you wanted to do this really optimized, you wouldn't create the object if the comment was like empty, or you could filter this list afterwards. And my prediction is that it's going to filter the list rather than doing some optimized thing of just not creating the object. Although if it didn't create the object, it would still have to filter that out unless it stopped using map and used something else. Anyways, let's see how Cursor does it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and say if the comment field is empty, e.g. this, don't include it in the reviews array. Okay, wow, it's actually doing fairly optimal solution. I think that there's a more efficient solution, but this is pretty good. Nothing, it's not bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply it, and let's go ahead and see. It made it so comment is optional. Okay. Oh, actually no. I just read it, and this is it's not what I would have done, but that's okay. You know, these models are not going to give you the most optimal code. They're going to give you the fastest code to get the job done. That, but like not runtime fast, but like, you know, it writes it fast. And you know, if we're really caring about performance, probably wouldn't be using TypeScript. So this is good enough. Okay. So now let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Oh, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and run bun format so that it makes it pretty. Okay, that's why I set that up. Now I can do bun, is it index? Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So comment, 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 comment. Okay, cool. All of these are comments, all right? So there's a rating and a comment and a timestamp. Okay, so let me think. Let's see. This is a lot of data that's redundant, right? We don't really need to print the course name or the student name or the timestamp. Maybe we want to keep the student name. But what I'm thinking is I want to pass this data over to a model so it can go ahead and summarize everything for me. Oh wow, there's 133 reviews? Yeah, okay. I definitely want to do that. Now, let's go ahead and say, okay, we're gonna need to, let's go ahead and just print like a text file that just has the student name, rating, and comment. That way it's really easy. So you can go ahead and either keep using the chat feature, or you can go ahead and, that's just all reviews. I'm just gonna delete this. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and just do Command K. What? Oh, that was Command J. Okay, sorry. Now I'm just gonna say, write the comment and rating and student name to a text file. Okay, oh, that's funny. Okay, I wasn't planning to show you this yet. But basically, Cursor can write commands for you. So what it was telling, it basically wrote a command that takes the output and inserts that into a text file using our shell. The problem here is that I'm not going to run it just because this actually isn't all the data. As you can see, there's 33 more items. So yeah, be careful where you're pointing. Let me just go ahead and delete this. And let me go ahead and write it over here again. Yeah, write the student name, writing, and comment to a text file, 1 line per object / review. Okay, so it's importing the file system module, and it's going to go ahead and write this. And yeah, let's go ahead and just run it. See what happens. So it did it. It wrote it to reviews output.txt. Let me open it. Awesome. So here's like here. One thing I see is that there is like this person has multiple lines of text within their review, and so I want to go ahead and modify this so that it kind of doesn't. It basically replaces all the new lines in the comments. So over here, I'm just gonna say I guess like reprocess all the reviews so that if a comment has new lines, remove that so there are no new lines. And whether you want to be very verbose or not is up to you. Okay, that's one way to do it. And it's saying reviews, hold up, reviews equals, but this const, yeah, okay. So basically, this is something that I've noticed Cursor messes up a lot, is that it won't change the, I guess, like variable type. So basically, const means that you can't re-declare reviews, but you can, obviously modify it in ways that don't change the actual object it points to. That's more of like a TypeScript or JavaScript thing. So, I can just change const to let, and that will work. But really, if you see an error and you don't know what's up, just try asking Cursor. So let's go ahead and see. Let's run it. And let's go ahead and open this file. Okay, cool. Now we don't see anything. I think this might mess up the... If we're just stripping the new line, are we replacing it with a space? Okay, we are. That's good. And honestly, what you can do is if you don't know regex, you can just kind of add it to chat, or and just kind of go like, what's going on here? And it will kind of explain things. So it's nice when you're like kind of being exposed to a new library with different APIs, or just you're just kind of picking up a new language. So this is working well. That's awesome. And now we have this little text file. Okay, great. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put in a new line, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and introduce Composer, which is, it's kind of different than chat just because it can modify a lot more files directly. So you can press Command I and I'll bring it up. And I have mine docked to the AI pin here, but I don't think that's default behavior. I'm just going to say refactor this to make it prettier. Before I do that, let me commit this. So let's see. Let me commit this so I kind of can keep track of the refactor, and I'm going to use Command K just to write that command to commit this. So write a command to, you don't have to say write a command, just I want to commit the changes to index.ts. There we go. Yeah, that works. Perfect. Now I'm going to go in Composer. I'm going to say refactor this. It's kind of messy. So it's gonna be a lot of changes. So let's go all the way to the top and just kind of explore. Okay, so it's consolidating imports. It's created like a function for reading a CSV file. It created a parse CSV line. Okay, that's, oh, I see, because it's handling the edge cases where like there's commas inside quotation marks. Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. There's a process reviews function now. It takes in all those lines and spits out course reviews. There's write reviews to file. It takes in the reviews, it goes ahead and commits it, or sorry, it writes it. And then our actual execution here is that we have the file path, lines, reviews, we write, and that's everything. So Composer did a pretty good job here. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and just keep mentioning things, but this is good enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and click accept all. And I'm gonna go ahead and run the format. There we go, okay. And I'll go ahead and run our function, or our file. Reviews has been written and the reviews are here, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just commit the changes, and it's really great. Now, I'm gonna go chat with the composer, and I'm gonna go say, I want a simple way to make a call to OpenAI so that I can give it the reviews text file. It can summarize them for me. So it's just gonna straight up make these changes. It's adding imports for Axios. And while Axios can work, I don't wanna install Axios. Also, I have Fetch, so I'm not sure why I'd wanna use Axios. And, you know, it is possible that Fetch wasn't in Node recently. I'm using Bun, so it is in there, but it's possible it wasn't in the Node runtime, so that's why it's defaulting to use Axios. And, you know, sometimes if you're using newer technology, I guess what the data sets that these language models are trained on are sometimes a little outdated. So that's why it's recommended to use Axios. It still works perfectly well, don't get me wrong. It's just that I think there's a better way to do it. And so let me go ahead and go on Google. So I went on Google and I found something that might be able to help. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reject all the changes that you proposed. So the state goes back. And you know, that's a really nice thing about using Cursor, is that it's really easy just to cancel all the changes that the AI made. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste a link. And what it's going to do is it's going to index it and use it as a reference for this stage of the conversation. And I'm just going to say, isn't there an easier way to do this without installing libs? See, especially if you're using Bun, which has built-in fetch support. Yeah. So that's exactly right. Let's go ahead and see. So it uses Bun fetch. So where's the code? Main, summarize reviews, OpenAI key. It reviews, it gets the review text. The review text it maps the reviews. Oh, I just wanted it to read the txt file. But, so it's calling summarize reviews here. Okay. I mean, that's fine, but, well, I can change it. I can say, instead of taking reviews as a function param, read the txt file. And that's the great thing. You can kind of go back and forth until you get a solution that you really like. So it's not just about getting the perfect solution instantly. You do have to do some back and forth if you have opinions or kind of a certain style that you want. So let's go ahead and see. Okay, it's nice. So it gets the output path and then here it reads it. Okay, cool. Let's try this. And I haven't put my OpenAI key here, so it should throw this error, but let's find out. So it's gross. 3.5 turbo. No. I know we're not going to run this yet, but just do 4.0. Okay, yeah, API key not found environment variable. That's cool. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my process. And first, let me just generate a key. I'm going to try to follow best practices. normally I would just generate the key, stick it in there, and delete the key right after recording this. But let's just stick to best practices. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and create a file. Just call it .env. That's where I can store some environmental variables. I like to use touch commands. You can also go ahead and right-click in the file tree, create a new file. I just think it's easier to write touch.env, and I'll go ahead and get a API key. 1 second. Copy the name of the environmental variable, paste that there, and basically, all right. So in general, it's best practice not to show other people your API keys. I'm not too worried. I know I'm going to delete this, but yeah, just keep an eye out for that. Let's go ahead and see. Let's run this. Let's find out what happens. Okay. Review summary. Overall, the course on AI tools received highly positive reviews with a few areas for improvement. Let's see. Okay, it's detailed and that's cool. Practical examples, and it's a good starting point. Okay, but where's the areas for improvement? And I can just modify what I'm going to send here. So I can just say, summarize the following course reviews. No, I'm going to say, read these course reviews and tell me what to change in my next course. And I just run it, and let's go ahead and see. Some reviews mentioned that the content is outdated. Hey, I'm working on that. Cursor, it just blew up this month. I absolutely love it. Great. Up to date, perfect. People want advanced materials. Okay, we can do that. We can do some crazy refactoring. All right, cool. How it applies to React. It's more of a general tool, but we can get into that. That's a great idea. Okay. So something that I want to address, and I haven't really addressed it in previous parts of the course, I didn't want to get there, is that the default kind of prompt for all of these models is too verbose. I want my information more concise. It's like it said, I told it, instead of taking reviews of function param, read the txt file. I just want it to be like, okay, done. And we can get there. It doesn't need to say all this text. Time is money, and this is too long. So you can go in Cursor in settings and Cursor settings and go here to, I think it's features, general. You can put rules for AIs, or you can create a .cursor rules file. If you're working in a code base, I like to put .cursor rule files in the code base. And I'll put some hints about that. So it's like, okay, we're not using npm, we're using bun. That way, these instructions will always be fed to the AI whenever any request comes through. So if something holds true for everything in the project, you can do that, and that's great. And I'll show you how we implement it in one of our repos. But for here, these are rules just for your clients, your Cursor clients. And so I can just say, okay, follow. No, I'm just say, okay. Do concise explanations, be lazy when explaining, and free write amazing code. All right, and you might think it's silly to say write amazing code, but just trust me. So something that I want to address, and I haven't really addressed it in previous parts of the course, I didn't want to get there, is that the default kind of prompt for all of these models is too verbose. I want my information more concise. It's like it said, I told it, instead of taking reviews of function param, read the txt file. I just want it to be like, okay, done. And we can get there. It doesn't need to say all this text. Time is money, and this is too long. So you can go in Cursor in settings and Cursor settings and go here to, I think it's features, general. You can put rules for AIs, or you can create a .cursor rules file. If you're working in a code base, I like to put .cursor rule files in the code base. And I'll put some hints about that. So it's like, okay, we're not using npm, we're using bun. That way, these instructions will always be fed to the AI whenever any request comes through. So if something holds true for everything in the project, you can do that. And but for here, these are rules just for, you know, your clients, your Cursor clients. And so I can just say, okay, follow, no, I'm just say, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, be very concise when explaining, and be lazy when explaining. That's not how you spell it. Explaining your changes. No need to explain basic stuff, and write amazing code. And I mean, you can kind of get creative, you know, so you can say you had an amazing 8 hours of sleep last night. Your sleep, what's it called? Your sleep score was 100. So, you know, just to psych it up. And because, you know, and this might sound crazy, and it's a bit, you know, like a pseudoscience, but try it. It'll change the personality of the explanations, okay? So let's go ahead and see. All right, so with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and just generate a README file. So here's a README. It's very empty, and I'm just gonna tell it, you know, composer, generate a useful README file. Or generate an ideal README file for this project. And here's the thing. By default, either in chat or composer, if I were to send this, it wouldn't really know what to do because I'm only sending it the current tab, README. And it at least needs to know the code like index.ts or package.json to kind of know what's going on. If you just give it README, it's not really going to know what to do. So actually, you know what? Let's find out what happens. It might actually read the package.json. I don't know. Let's see. It's probably going to do a terrible job. Okay. So yeah, so it looks like Cursor was able to pass it some information so that it wasn't so bad because it knows about the file structure here. That's pretty great. And I mean, that's the great thing about Cursor, you know. Imagine if you have to, imagine if you were using ChatGPT and you have to keep passing in things like that. That'd be really annoying. And I think that's a feature specifically from Composer. Chat would probably do a worse job. Let's find out. That's a great thing. We can repeat these experiments. Let's go to chat. New one. It's probably gonna do a terrible job. Let's find out. Yeah, see? So with chat, it doesn't really know. It's only going off analyze course reviews. That's it. So with Composer, it's able to intelligently give it some more context. If you want to just chat and not really make code changes, use chat. If you do want to be writing code and making changes, use Composer. Basically, it's a smarter version of it that has more context. So let's go ahead and do this again, but I'm going to press @ and there's a whole bunch of settings or options. There's like files, folders, code, web, docs, git, code base, and notepad. Okay, and what you can do is you can go ahead and you can navigate with arrows, and you can press enter if you wanted to, or you can just type like indexed and it'll kind of find it, index.ts. Let's go ahead and include the package JSON too. That's going to kind of help out. And let's go ahead and see. I'm not going to give it the ts config.json, but yeah, this should be good for now. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Yeah, it even does, it assumes we're using GitHub. And yeah, that's pretty good. How did the MIT license? Maybe Bun is the MIT license. I don't know. It's pretty nice. I'm just gonna delete the license part. But let's go ahead and see. Honestly, this is a better README than most projects, so that's pretty cool. Format code using prettier. Yeah, I mean, awesome. So you can see like, this is not something, you know, I can do this myself, right? And I could probably do a better job, but if it can do 80% as good as a job as a human in just a few seconds, then it's way better than the alternative, which is putting off creating a README until a month later. So this is great. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. And I'll go ahead and show you this. So I'm going to go to chat, and now I believe if I click, not click, but type commit, it'll go ahead and see the differences. Okay, so this is actually pretty powerful. It's going to give it every line or every file that has a difference. That's why I started the Git repo earlier. So it's going to see that, you know, these lines got deleted from the README. Now these lines got added, and then the index.ts, no, not in the index. There we go. In the index.ts, some things got deleted, some things got added, right? So I can just pass that as a context just by doing like commit, and well, it's not going to show it again because I did this commit diff of working state, right? And I can just say write a commit message. Okay, and you know, and I can just modify it if I want, if I'm not happy with that. Like write a commit message, like a boss, all lowercase, up to 20 words max. Boom. You see? So it's like, yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. And but you know, so I mean, honestly, sometimes I forget what changes I've made. It's bad practice in like proof of concept repos, but I forget what changes I made, and I'll use this to find out like, hey, what did I do since the last time I committed? And I mean, you know what? Let's ship it. Let's send it. Git commit paste. Oh, I didn't add it. I didn't add the stuff. Okay. Git add readme in the index, and now we just do this again. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and see. So we have a reviews output, right? And we can kind of tell Composer, like, I don't want reviews output being added to my repo, so ignore it. So you can just be like, maybe I can just add it. I could add it, but then that's going to provide the content of that file in there, and that's just a waste of tokens. I'm going to add it. Please add it to the git ignore, and it's going to go ahead and make that change. Did it make the change? Oh, I have to apply it. This is chat. Okay, my bad. AI did not predict an origin file for this code. No, don't apply to README. So will it apply right? See, this is what I was talking about. The chat feature for that, it's not that great when applying things. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to go copy this message. I'm going to go to Composer, and let's see how it does. Did it do it? So, oh my gosh, I don't think it did it. It's a bad look. Yeah, this isn't even a code block. What's going on? I'm just going to give it a question mark. Pull the Jeff Bezos. And probably what's happening is it's being a bit thrown off because I'm passing it to README. So let's go ahead and go back in this conversation, and I'm just gonna click here. Ah, okay, that's fun. So it's a bit trickier with Composer because you can't go back in Composer, and you can go back with chat. And I kind of get it if it's making changes, but that's an important thing to note. So let me go ahead and just copy this and just start a new conversation. There we go. Will it do it? Let's find out. There we go. It added it. So this just shows you like it's very important to think about what input you're giving to the model, because you really, really, really want to control against different biases, right? Because if you feed it the README file, but you're talking about something else, it's, you know, it's gonna be like a junior developer. It's gonna be like, wait, why did he give me the README file? you know, am I supposed to do something there? Or else he wouldn't have done it, right? And it's gonna really throw it off. So in order to get the fastest results, you really want to give it the minimum amount of input. So if it only needed the gitignore file, then that's enough. And you know, to be honest, it doesn't even need the gitignore file. It could give you a command to run to append the text file name to that .gitignore. So yeah, I mean, you can do it either way. Let's go ahead and see. Now you can do some refactoring. That could be fun. So let's go ahead and see. Remove irrelevant entries from the .gitignore, because this adds a lot of stuff that we like, yarn and stuff, right? And we're not using yarn, so we don't need it. So it's deleting this. .nyc output. Okay. And we can kind of build on this. So I can tell it, you know, keep removing irrelevant stuff. Here are my project files, and you know, I can tell it like, okay, here's index, here's package, and here's readme, and it's going to be able to see like what libraries I'm using to kind of, you know, further refine, further refactor this. Let's see how it does. Okay, let's just accept it and find out. So we have TypeScript and environmental variables, I guess a build output, and yeah, that's it. Okay, so yeah, it basically got rid of everything that we weren't really using. It did a fairly good job. So that's nice. Now let's take a deep look at the docs feature in Cursor. So you go over to Cursor settings, and here, you know, here's my rules for AI. Pretty general stuff, but it works. It really helps. I'm gonna go over to, I think it's features, and here's like, okay, so it'll do code-based indexing, right? So it'll kind of like break up all the code that's in this folder, make it in a more accessible way. That's a really simple way to explain it, okay? And docs are things that you can kind of add. So maybe you've encountered that you're working with a library that was created 6 months ago, but maybe if you're using something like, you know, ChatGPT 4, the knowledge cutoff is last year. So it just doesn't know about that library at all. And that's, you know, kind of annoying. And before Cursor, you kind of had to like copy some documentation or find a way to get it there. And it's really messy. So the docs feature is something that people don't use enough. It's really, really great. So for example, the other day I was dealing with some encoder settings on, you know, with FFmpeg, and basically there's different parameters that you can give to, or there's different encoding parameters that you can give depending on which encoder you choose. So I gave it the docs link for the VP9 encoder, and I wonder, will this, yeah, so it actually kind of crawled a lot of different pages. So it indexed 235 pages. So it not only read the VP9 docs, but it also read about a lot of other pages, and it all saved them there. I guess sometimes there's been updates or something. But yeah, so let's see. It wants to open this axdiff. Oh, that's why there's so many differences. Okay, I think the FFmpeg site is kind of like a wiki style, so I think that's why there's so many diffs. But you know, in other code bases, for example, I think, let's see, so this is a library, WAV file, and so it indexed one page, which was just like the npm page. If we go over to like media recorder, which is one of the like web APIs, it indexed 1,002 pages. So it has MDM for media recorder, close event, web APIs, and then okay, it kind of went wild. It indexed stuff for like the Canvas API, idle detection, a lot of stuff. It basically downloaded all of MDN. So initially, I would use the docs feature to like index a single page, but really it's going to index that entire site, which is really great, because if you're using a website, if you're using a library, you know, for example, like Next.js or SST, you can just add it there and it'll index it. So let me go ahead and find the link to like the SST docs. If you don't know SST, it's kind of like built on top of, I think it's built on top of Pulumi, but basically it's infrastructure as code. So here is the link to the SST docs, and it's super simple. You just enter it there, it'll run in the background until it's done indexing, and that's it. It's as easy as that. So if a new library comes out last week, obviously even the most up-to-date foundational models are not going to know about it. But you can index the library's documentations or the library's code, and now it has that critical knowledge. I work with AWS a lot, so I should go ahead and add the AWS docs. And I have the query string from using Google. No, I just copied the Google link. Oh, okay, interesting. Let me see. Let me restart this. Okay. I use AWS a lot, so I think I should probably go ahead and index some of the AWS docs. That seems good to do. AWS and confirm. Now we see that I have gone ahead and indexed SST. So let's take a look at the pages it was able to extract. So it indexed 46 pages, and that's basically all the pages that SST has for documentation. Let's see, this is, no way. It can't have indexed 523 pages already. My guess is that other people have indexed this, and so it was able to look up in some sort of global store for like what pages to get for that. That's my guess. So yeah, that's pretty cool then. I mean, you still get the same results. So now if I were to go ahead and ask a question, so let's see. If I were to go ahead and ask a question like, okay, I need a, or, so I can ask a question like, so now with these docs, I could kind of ask it a question like, I want you to design a hot infra with SST on AWS, supports entire region going down, and let's see, what type of thing is it? It's a PHP server. PHP server with a RDS instance with free, or I'm kind of designing that infra. So down PHP based. Okay, and I can go ahead and do docs AWS, and I can go ahead and do like docs SST, and let's see. Okay, it's just spitting code, and this is where you have to be like very careful with code prompting or prompt engineering, where you have to be careful. You have to be specific. Okay. So in this case, I see that it's going to deploy like two regions I told it to be, be hot. It's, defining the primary DB, secondary DB. It's going to use Aura, stuff like that. Okay. And, it explains it. But if I were to rephrase this, like, I want you to design, I can just say, don't give me code, just a high-level overview. And honestly, I tell it not to give me code often. Sometimes I kind of just talk back and forth, like, hey, does that make sense? Like, if I write the code myself, I'm asking, like, does that make sense? I don't know. But also, you can bully language models into apologizing. And then once they correct themselves, you can bully it into thinking that that's wrong. So you have to be very careful to, like, try to not be biased in your language. That's something that's very important when you're crafting prompts. But yeah, it's going to talk about what it's going to do. Okay. So let's go ahead and do further analysis on our reviews. And what we're going to do now is I want to plot the review sentiment over time, because I want to see if the course started getting lower review ratings over time, or if that's fluctuating at all. And we're going to go ahead and use, let's see, we could use Python, but I'm fairly good at Python, so let's use R. I'm not really good at R. I can like, I don't even think I know how to make like a list in R. I think they're like vectors and stuff, and so that sounds fun. So I actually think I have R installed, but I'm not super confident. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do Command K. Let's go ahead and say I'm on macOS. Give me a command to find out I have R installed. I don't even know this. Okay, let's try it. Oh, R's not installed. Okay. R takes a while to install, but let's go for it. Basically, write a command to install R. Not so many packages. The core libs. Okay, let's see. So it's using Homebrew to it's installing Homebrew, and then it's installing R. I already have Homebrew, so And also, I advise against just running commands that it tells you, like piping bash scripts from the internet directly into your command line. I don't recommend that, especially if it's coming from a language model. So, but I'm going to go ahead and install R. And this might take a while, to be honest. But while we wait for that, let's go ahead and actually start. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Composer, and I'm going to say write an R file. I want to read the reviews uncensored.csv file and plot the reviews, or the review numbers, the review values numeric. Yeah, that's a terrible way to explain it, but let's do it. We have an error here. Let's go ahead and see. So the bottle needs Apple command line tools to be installed. Oh, okay. Let's do that. No install request. Okay. Is it gonna install it though? Hello, come on. All right, so I'm actually not too familiar with like homebrew. So it's saying like to treat it as a cask or something, and to be honest, I don't know what that means. So I'm just gonna ask it. In homebrew, what's a cask and a formula? Because yeah, I wonder if one of them is like an install script or something. Formula is like a traditional package. Cask, okay. Ooh, pre-built binaries. That's way faster. I want a cask. Okay, let's do that. It's gonna be way faster. Yes. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. That's awesome. All right, back to the R code that we wrote. ggplot. Yeah, I've heard of that. Okay, so it's doing like ggplot, a histogram. Let's go ahead and see distribution of review scores, review score frequency, v minimal. Okay, but wait, where's it getting the? Oh, okay. ASX equals review. Shouldn't it be like data review? Data. Okay. So let's go ahead and see. AES x equals review. Okay, I know there's review, but I don't think... Oh, I'm a bit dumb. Let me go ahead and go over to the Composer and say, here is the format of my CSV file. And I'm just gonna give it the first 5 censored. Please adapt. And I'm gonna give it the R file. And let's go ahead and see what it does. Wow, did we install R? That's awesome. Rating, okay. Is it actually called rating? Oh, it is, okay. I thought it was review. All right, let's, okay. It's gonna sound silly. I don't know how to run R. It's been a couple years. Run plot reviews.r. Is that how you do it? Is it running? Wow. No package called ggplot2. Okay, and this is great. I'm lazy, so debug with AI. Let's see. How do I install ggplot2? Oh yeah, right. Okay, so I'm just gonna paste this here. That basically, if it's not installed, you install it. And it's trying to use crayon without setting a mirror. Why do you need a mirror though? There's no package. What? No way. So install pack. So I have to. So how do I? Trying to use crayon without setting up mirror. I'm just gonna ask. I want to set a mirror instead. That's basically somewhere where you're downloading it from. So let's go ahead and see. I'm gonna apply this and accept it. Let's go ahead and run it. Loading required package. Okay, I think that's good. That's good. Ooh. Getting up and running. Awesome. While this is running, I really want to highlight the use of Cursor in academia, because we all know that, I've worked with professors, and a lot of them, but not computer science professors, people in other, cross-disciplinary fields that are using computing in some way, and they don't write the best code, and that's okay. It works. It may not be efficient. It may be very messy, but they're trying to get something done, and Cursor is perfect for that. I mean, just imagine if you're able to kind of tell like an undergrad student, like, okay, go analyze this, give me a plot, make it look like that, and they can learn so quickly if they're able to use something like Cursor, because it replaces things like tutorials. And it's not just for beginners, it's like for professionals who don't know what they're doing, who do know what they're doing in general, but don't know anything about that specific field or that language or that technology. It's a great way to get hit the ground running. So let's go ahead and see. So if required namespace, what? This checks if it's installed and it's not installed. Yeah, how is it not installed properly? Let's try it. Oh, I think that worked. Okay, I didn't believe in it. Let's see. It should be in rating distributions.png. Wow, okay. I'm in dark mode, so let's go ahead and set the background to white. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select this, all of this, and Command K, set the background to white. I don't know how to set the background to white, but I can just do it. Okay, hopefully this works. Let's send it, and ta-da! All right, so this is setting the background of that, but I want the background of like the labels and everything. So I'm gonna say this is currently setting the fill/bg of the chart or graph. I don't know which ones is correct. To white, but not the labels and axis tick things. I don't know what they're called. Make the whole background white, please. And you don't have to say please. It's just my personality. Whoa. Okay. Let's find out. Is that how you do it? Oh, perfect. Okay, so distribution of course ratings. All right, perfect. So this is the frequency distribution. Now, let's go ahead and evolve this. I'm gonna go over to the composer, and I'm gonna go ahead and just really quickly tell it. Okay. Here is the structure of the data. I'm just gonna give it like, what's it called? Oh, actually, instead of telling it the structure of the data, I'm just gonna copy this over here from the CSV file that I showed you earlier, and then I'm gonna go ahead and create a cursor file. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to chat, and I'm gonna say, here's the name of the CSV file, or I'm just pasting it. Oh, I copied the content. Okay, that's why. Whatever. I'm gonna say, hey, write a .cursor rules file explaining the structure of this CSV content. What? Okay, I was not expecting this. Wow. Is it really an ISO 8601? Oh. Is it? Maybe. I don't think so. This is not ISO 8601. Not at all. But you tried. I'm just gonna be like just question mark it. No, write 2 sentences explaining the fields and format. So yeah, a lot of times you have to go back and forth, but let's see. See, it's being lazy. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy when doing stuff. You're about to get a promotion. Keep grinding. It's 4. And you don't even have to do like 1, 2, 3, 4, by the way. Okay, let's try this again. That's slightly better. It's saying does CSV, but you know, fine. I'll take it. So let me just copy it, and I have to create the CSV file. I have to create the .cursor rules files. Cursor rules. Paste it here, and the CSV. It's reviews uncensored, and let's go ahead and see. So similar to, by the way, like GitHub Copilot, that was available in like VS Code and all the IntelliJ stuff. There's also tab completion here, and I haven't used it much because I haven't been writing my own code. But as you can see, when I was writing stuff here, it was actually suggesting it. So it's aware of kind of like parts of your code base, and it's able to suggest things based on how you're writing it. So that's why I was like uncensored .csv. That's kind of a fail though. Oh no, I'm the failure. I wasn't doing that right. Okay, reviews uncensored. So yeah, once I actually started writing something that made sense, I was getting some suggestions from VS Code itself, since it knows that these are file names. But then once I start to write this, it'll suggest it. I guess I deleted the suggestions too many times, so I didn't keep it. But yeah, and it's suggesting to just repeat this. So yeah, I'm just gonna close this. That should be fine. And let's try going to Composer, and I'm gonna tell it find the, or now let's do a histogram, not histogram, now let's chart the average rating per day. If there is no rating on a day, don't plot that day. And let's see if I can refactor and add this without fail. Alright, and we're probably gonna need to install. Oh, okay, I added the code to install those libraries. That's good. Let's go ahead and see. So daily ratings and okay, let's just try it. I don't know why it has okay, the geom line is sky blue and the geometry point is dark blue. Okay, sure. And it's keeping this stuff. Alright. No errors highlighted so far, so let's run it. Without setting up mirror. Oh, it deleted the mirror part. Okay. Can I click it here? What happens? No, diff view. Yeah, if I go back to the diff view, I can see what it deleted. And what did you delete? I had the... Didn't I have the mirror I was using? Interesting. Okay, sure. I'm just gonna copy this and add it to chat, or you can just select it and just do add to chat, and just say fix it. Oh, this is the chat. Okay, I want this to be in Composer, so add to Composer, and I'm just gonna say fix. You can be very like lazy with how you explain things. So you can just say fix. Okay, it's gonna add the options again. I don't know when that got removed, but and I think we're just bouncing around between different mirrors, but that's okay. Let's run it. Alright, so it should have outputted to average daily ratings.png. Okay. So we see that I guess we have data that's like more than 1 year old. Okay, let's do rolling average. So I can kind of just tell it, you know, in Composer, I'm going to start a new conversation. Just whenever you're working on new things, you should start a new conversation, just so that you keep the context clear. So I'm also going to go ahead and just like commit this file so I can see the changes so that we don't have that mirror problem again. Add our file. And I'm just going to say change this so it also change this to only plot the rolling 7-day average of the course or of the ratings. And you know, there's a million examples on the internet of how to implement like a rolling average calculation. So you can really rely on these language models to do a pretty good job at it. It's not going to do great with like novel things, but to be honest, most people aren't working on novel problems. It's possible that they're applying a solution, a formerly novel solution, to a completely different field. And yeah, this is also great for that. That's why you want to use the docs feature. But let's go ahead and give this a run, see what happens. That ran fast. That ran too fast. Average daily ratings.png. Okay. Yeah, what? What's going on? Oh, I did get add. I didn't actually run the script. Okay, that's why. There's no package called zoo or this stuff. So, you know, in the old days, I would probably just start doing like install that packages. I can just click debug with AI or add with Composer. Add to Composer. Hello. Oh, there we go. Okay. Fix. Let's see. All right. So we added zoo. Okay, was that it? Accept all. And let's run it. Okay. Now it looks like there's some missing points. I'm guessing that it's because we don't have data for every day. But also we could just ask it like, what's up with this? So warning message. You can just say, go to chat, just explain. And while it responds, let's go to average daily ratings and look at the rolling average, 7 days. I don't really think we can make a correlation with this. But let's see. Let's plot based off, let's find out if we're getting more 1 or 2 star ratings as time goes on. So let's plot the frequency of 1 and 2 star ratings. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do, oh, the rolling gap can be calculated for the first 6 days. That's why, okay. Let's go ahead and see. So let's try applying it. Hopefully it works. Let's give it a shot. And I guess that might have fixed it. Okay, cool. Now let's go ahead and plot the number of 1 and 2 star ratings per day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage something that's really powerful, which is just like referencing files. And I've done this before, but you're really going to see the power now. I'm going to go over to Composer, and I'm going to say, this is what I recommend from what I've learned. Don't have Composer create new files. Sometimes they'll put it in the wrong directory. The best way to get around it is just to do a new file and just say plot bad reviews.r. Okay, and I'm going to fix it. And I'm just going to say, okay, so based on plot reviews.r, create a file or create a R script in plot bad reviews. that plots the frequency, the rolling average number of 1 and 2 star ratings, 7 day rolling, 7 days per day, or by day. And let's see, because we provided a lot of relevant context, I genuinely think it can get it right on the first go. Let's find out. Wait, did it edit plot reviews? No. Oh, okay, it's my fault. It's actually my fault because I put plot reviews here twice. So I'm sorry, composer. That's not your fault. The problem is I just did this wrong. I put the wrong file. So plot bad reviews it's supposed to be here, and then I'm supposed to go based on plot reviews. All right, let's see it do it. All right, I'm gonna accept it and see. So as your code base kind of like gets larger and you've kind of decided like what technology to use, your AI tooling is going to get a lot more useful because you can kind of point it as examples. If you have examples, AI generated code can get a lot better because you can say, okay, do this, but this. And like if you're doing like a refactor, you can do a great job refactoring one file and then tell it, hey, I refactored this file, now go refactor this other file in the style of this good file that I refactored. But yeah, so let's go ahead and see. So plot bad reviews. What does it save it to? Average daily bad ratings.png. Okay. So 1, it goes up to 1.5. That's really weird. It stays there? All right, now here's the great thing about multimodal models. I'm gonna go ahead and just say, hey, this plot looks weird. Looks weird. By the way, set the min y-axis value to 0. And I can actually just do @average daily bad ratings. And it'll go ahead and, in its own way, kind of like parse that picture to try to understand what's going on. And I think that's really powerful. Just because, you can obviously do that with, if you're going Claude or ChatGPT, but just being able to really, really quickly look at the results, feed it back, iterate, that's awesome. It made some changes here. So it went ahead and did some stuff here. I'm just gonna go ahead and click accept. I could click accept here as well. What's going on here? We press back, I think, or save. I think. Let me escape. I'm in like this weird UI thing. Let me find out. How do I get out of here? Oh, okay. I'm on. Okay, composer. I usually don't click that much. Okay, there we go. All right, let's run it, or let's save and then let's run it. And go here. Okay, that's slightly better, but I'm gonna go ahead and say, isn't it odd that we stay with a rolling average of 1.15 for multiple months? And let me just make sure it's reading from the right file. Reviews uncensored. It is. Okay. So yeah, I'm telling it, hey, I think there's a problem here. And what did it change? Data range, date, mutate. Now you can go over all the code, but honestly, it's just faster to click accept and then find out. Okay, we have an error. Fun. Let me just add it to composer and say fix. Oh, I misspelled fix, but it understood me. Replace any not available. Really? Okay. Just replacing this with that. Okay, sure. I accept it. Let's go. All right, now let's go ahead and see. Plot bad. Oh, sorry. Average daily bad ratings. Okay, that's way better. Okay. So. Oh, I see. So if there weren't any bad reviews, was it just not? Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and just ask it. Don't reply with code. Explain what the bug was. Okay. So I'm gonna say explain why the previous bug was. Yeah, I was explaining the wrong thing. It kind of, sometimes you should be more specific. So it was likely due to how we were handling days without bad reviews. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I figured. Okay. So bad reviews there, bad reviews there, and kind of just there. Okay, cool. So there's not really any sort of like trend that I can see. One more thing we can do is I'm gonna go ahead and go to composer, and I'm gonna go ahead and create a file. I'm gonna call it plot total reviews. Okay, so I created like this plot total reviews file, and what I want to test out or find out is that I see some peaks. I see a peak here and I see a peak here, right, of 1 and 2 star ratings. And I want to know, are those days where, because this is like the number, the quantity of 1 and 2 star ratings. Where's the picture? Yeah. So not the proportion. So it's possible that there were more students in those months. Now, with this data set, I can't calculate how many students there were each day, but I can calculate how many total reviews there were. So I'm basically just going to plot the reviews over time. So I created plot total reviews, and I'm going to go over to Composer, and I'm just going to say, okay, based on plot bad reviews and plot total plot reviews, implement at plot total reviews, plot, what's going on, plot total. No, plot bad reviews, plot reviews. That's interesting. Why can't I? Does the file not exist? Plot total reviews. Yeah, it's right here. Plot. There we go. I don't know what's up with that. Okay, plot total reviews, where we want to plot a moving 7-day or a rolling 7-day average of the number of reviews per day. Yeah. And so it's going to look at like the way we've accessed that data in those other files, and that makes it so like now whenever it implements or whenever it writes a new file, there's like a higher likelihood that it's going to get it right. So it's really great for building on things. So let's just run this. I think it's R script and then plot total reviews. Let's find out. What does it save it to? Average daily total reviews. Okay. That took a while to run. I'm not sure. Okay, rolling average total reviews. Okay, so yeah, this makes sense. A lot of course taken after February, a lot back here. So those two peaks kind of line up. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's how you can kind of use Cursor to use R to analyze, do some basic analysis without knowing R. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. And we're gonna go ahead and move on to a really nice section where, now, if you're an experienced developer, you might still be skeptical. You know everything, so why do you need some worse programmer to be by your side all day? And I think that using Cursor on a daily basis lets you really offload a lot of like non-critical stuff so that you free up your mind for the really important stuff. So here I have a part of a work repository. I hope our CEO is okay with this. And I have to update this. I actually have to go ahead and basically do some garbage collection. So this is kind of like a protocol class where essentially you connect to it, you give it audio, and eventually you're supposed to disconnect and end your session. But sometimes a client might get disconnected and just never finish the session. And so that's going to stay in memory forever. And so eventually, if this service runs long enough, it's going to run out of memory and it's going to crash, and that's not very good. So I need to go ahead and change this protocol so that it kind of keeps tracks of the last time it receives a message from a certain client, and it will keep that in memory. So let's go ahead and see. So here's our receive message function, I guess method. So here's like a start session, receive audio frame, process minute range, get pre-signed URL. Okay, cool. So it looks like no matter what, we're always going to have the session ID. So what we should kind of do is, well, hey, look, I already have a solution in my mind, right? I'm just going to keep track in the map of the last time we get something, get a request from a certain session ID, and and then have do like a set interval from our constructor to go ahead and read for that map, see what sessions haven't received the message for like 3 minutes, and then clear them from memory. That's the solution I have. I'm going to go ahead and tell Claude about my problem, and we're going to go see how it resolves it. So, and my directory is a little messy. Just ignore that. This is what a real working code base looks like, So let's go ahead and see. Okay, so I did some digging in this file, and I found that, when I start the session, I'm checking if the session already exists. And if it already exists, then what it does is it deletes the information that's already there, or basically the audio information that's already there from our storage service and from the audio processor. So what this means is that we can get a really nice, easy way to clean up the storage and the memory on the service that's running this protocol. And so, you don't always want to, you want to give, you want to throw a bone, basically, to the AI. Give it a hint. So what I wrote was, I want to keep track of how long it's been since the session ID that hasn't called end session last sent a message to receive message. If a message hasn't been received for at least 4 minutes, I want the session to be cleaned up and removed from memory by calling destructive delete stream on the session streams. And let's see what it does. So we can see it edited some code. I'm gonna go scroll up to see what it did. So it imported set timeout and clear timeout. It's okay. Here's session timeout. 4 minutes as milliseconds. Session timeout is a map with Node.js timeouts. Okay. Oh, because then we can cancel the timeout every time we get a new message. Is that what it's gonna do? That's really cool. And I'm sorry if you don't know JavaScript. This might be a little confusing, but that's actually okay. That's kind of cool. Interesting. So when it receives a message, it resets the session timeout according to the session ID, and it's kind of changing this. I guess it's putting it all in one line. When I run bun format, it'll kind of fix that. So let's just go ahead and keep scrolling. This should be the same. It removes a comment sometimes, and I don't really like that. That is one thing to watch out for. It'll just randomly remove some comments. That's why you should really use some form of version control. Then it's easy to see what changes it made. But then there's a reset session timeout. It'll go ahead and clear the timeout. It'll go ahead and set a new timeout. And why is this underlined? Argument of type timer is not assigned. Interesting. Okay. I can take a look. After end session, it'll clear the timeout. Okay, cool. Let's just accept it and revert some changes. So I want my comment back here. So I can click here and revert, deleting this line. I'm gonna go ahead and open the panel here, and I'm gonna go ahead and run format. It's just, oh, I have to go into the subfolder. Cool. All right. So now let's go ahead and see. So now we have a lot of our formatting back, and we can see what changes did it make. This returns the frame count that you should be counting at. Oh, okay. Let's undo that delete. Okay. And let's see. Just like an empty line here. I don't like it. Let's go ahead and see. Okay, so reset session timeout. This is still giving us an error. This not cleanup session. This not timeout. Okay, honestly, I could try to read into it, but it's just faster to just ask an AI chat. Okay, I'm not fond of just casting it to say trust me. So if we go to cleanup session, okay. So, oh, I see. Because set timeout, does it normally return anything? It's just, okay. Now I get what it's doing. But yeah, it returns it's saying it returns a timer. Okay. And there's nothing wrong if it's a timer. We just have to declare it here. And so in that case, the suggested solution wasn't exactly right. But that's why it's really good to use, strongly typed languages. So if you were using like Java or C, it'd be an even easier time. Let's go ahead and see. I think this should work, because it's doing this session timeouts delete with the session ID. It's clearing that timeout, and that's pretty good. And let's see. reset session timeout. It's gonna clear the timeout and it sets a new timeout. Okay. And the timeout is set so that it will run this function here, or this method. So it's gonna clean up the inactive session, and it will go ahead and destructive delete stream the microphone interviewer. It'll delete the active session, session start time, and session timeouts. Okay, I think that's pretty good. It's slightly different than how I would have done it, but I think it's like a cleaner implementation this way. I would have had like a function that gets called that goes in a loop, just loops over and sees if, you know, it's been 4 minutes. So overall, I'm pretty impressed. I'm just gonna go ahead and see. I can delete this import since it's grayed out. And honestly, it looks good. I'm gonna go test it out after this. But yeah, I did it basically in one shot, so that's awesome. Now, I really want to cover a really cool feature about Cursor, which is writing commit messages. I kind of touched on it earlier, but I just really want to focus on it as we close out this chapter in the course. So once again, you can just type at commit to get all the code differences. And you know, normally I don't include the entire file that I changed, but sure, I don't mind. I'm going to say write a commit message. Cool.